All right, for those of you that are subscribed to me for my other weird things that I work on other than my street legal kits for dirt bikes, this is the updated battery powered computer that I have right now. And this is fully 3D printed on a Bamboo Lab P1S. This fits on the print bed. And I also just kind of was playing around with some cool designs. I think I'll get rid of this though, because it's a little bit easier to just do a simple pattern like circles or whatever. On the top, I did some little lightning bolts because it's battery powered. For comparison, I mean, this is the other thing that I'm working on right now. And this is a eGPU, essentially, for my framework. I'm printing the cover for this right now. But this is the first prototype, but this is a full-size GPU, dual fan, I guess. There are longer ones, obviously, but I wanted to keep this smaller. So this is my GPU out of my old desktop, and I don't remember what this is. I think it's a 3060, something like that. And then this one is a 3050. As you can tell, there's the GPU. And I also replaced the normal fan for just one big giant fan that hides behind here that's a slim fan. It doesn't get hot. I just did that because I needed it for the space. I wanted this to still be able to fit in most backpacks pretty comfortably. So one thing you'll notice is this thing is tiny. I mean, this is my hand. I am 6'1", so I do have big hands, but this is tiny. It weighs almost nothing. It has a mini ITX motherboard, i5, and then this right here is a voltage converter that I put two Noctua fans on. It's not really mounted in there super awesome or anything, but this is way better than what I had before and smaller. And so with this, what I did essentially is I put an XT90 on the bottom of it, and that is what the battery pack hooks to, or also you can just run it off of the charging brick for the battery pack by itself, because that is plenty of power to work with that, or even a 3D printer power supply, whatever you want. But the charger obviously is not it's not a 12-volt charger, it's 16.8 volts because of this battery pack that I use for this. So that voltage converter steps down the voltage, and this is essentially the same setup that I have on this eGPU as well. So this is a 300 watt Dell laptop charger I got for free, and it puts out like 16.8 volts or maybe more. I don't remember, it might even be 19 or something like that. But this voltage converter, you would be surprised. This little thing can handle the watts of just a GPU especially, but even a whole computer. My power consumption on this computer while playing a game is only about 130 watts. It's pretty impressive that i5 just kind of sips power, and the GPU does as well. But basically, I just run this, and this runs into my Pico power supply, which is way up in there. It's hard to see it. I just drilled a hole for now for this, because this is obviously the first prototype I've done. And this slot is for the back cover, which will then screw together to hold the top case on. And then there's also 3 more bolt holes right here to bolt it all together. But the idea is that this will be standing up like this. It'll be about that wide on the top of this. It's only 4 inches tall this way. And then that will be my eGPU, because I hated the eGPU setup I had before that was like a big giant power supply, and then this didn't use a riser, so you couldn't get it nice and compact. But I mean, the crazy thing is that this is almost the same size as an entire computer but this is just an eGPU. But the upside is I can take this with me on vacation with my framework laptop and be able to play full fat games on the graphics card, which is pretty cool. This I have done that with before, but it's a little harder to travel with, especially when you're trying to pack light. But it was pretty funny. TSA picked this up and was like, what is this? And I was like, it's a computer that I made. And he's like, you made this thing? And I was like, yep, it's just so that I can do whatever I need to while I'm on vacation. and look at my website, all that good stuff. And he was just like dumbfounded at what this thing even looked like. He was so confused by it. But anyway, I was able to fly with this without the battery pack. I'll show you the battery pack now. So I'm actually redesigning the battery pack as well right now, which is a perfect time for me to show you kind of how this works. So this is the battery pack for it. Obviously pretty big, but still, I mean, stacking the two, it's still not that tall. It's actually, I could probably measure it for you just so that you get an idea of the scale of this. But essentially, this battery pack is, you know, 3.5 inches tall, give or take, and the whole computer is another just shy of 8.5 inches tall. So the whole thing really is not that bad. I can fit this into most backpacks, no problem. It is kind of wide, obviously, because you have a graphics card and a motherboard kind of sandwiched together. But the nice thing that I did with this is I made this to be disassembled really easily. So all I do is I can take off one of the side panels. Don't even really need to take off both unless I really want to. And then I can unscrew these 3 screws on this side, these 3 screws on this side, and obviously take the GPU out, or at least pull it back a little bit so that these tabs aren't in the way, and the whole motherboard tray just comes out. So it makes it super easy to work on, do anything. I also put a little phone charger right here with an integrated voltage monitor. But let me show you the battery pack, because this is probably the part that most of you are confused by or wondering how it works. So basically, I just put that in there, right, so that it sandwiches up against the bottom and plugs in down there. But I spot welded this together. As you can see, all these spot welds. And when I printed the holder out, I forgot to get rid of the little bridge in between each of these. So they do kind of raise up and down as you go across. But I have been using this battery pack with this computer for, I don't know, it's got to be over a year now, and I haven't had a single problem with it. Obviously, in the next revision, I would like to put some little threaded inserts in the bottom where those little squares are. And what that'll do is it'll allow me to basically affix the battery pack to this on the bottom so that it holds it all nice and tight. Because right now, if this moves around, it can move ever so slightly. I mean, you can't even see it because it moves so little. Everything is so jam-packed. But this is the BMS. I bought this from Srico Batteries, and it's a JBD BMS with Bluetooth control. So you can log in to the Bluetooth app, change all your parameters, whatever you want to do. And then obviously just the XT90 that I had hot glued in there. But all of the sensor wires are in here as well to know which parts are at what voltages. And this is obviously I think this is 4S. Yeah, it's a 4S. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 long, 4 wide. It's a lot of batteries. It is not light, I'll tell you that, but you can play video games on battery power while powering a portable monitor like that for like 6 hours. It's pretty impressive. So I'll show you the weight of this really quick. Let me go to grams, since that's kind of the one we both use in the US and otherwise. So it's 2.6 kilograms. Like I said, not exactly light. 2.6 kilograms or 5 pounds and 14 ounces. So it's heavy, but when you take into account what the computer weighs 6 pounds, 2.7 ounces. So 6 pounds plus 5 pounds, it's heavy, right? But still, pretty dang cool that you can take a whole computer like that with off-the-shelf parts, make it upgradable, not integrated anything. This has normal RAM, normal CPU, normal everything. That new AMD AI chip would be super cool to do something like this in, but I would say a good one for reference is that new framework desktop. This is probably very similar in size to that, but anyway, pretty neat little project. And so now I'm just working on this one too. But the other thing that's hard to find sometimes is the charger for something like that. And what I have found to be the best is to find these on AliExpress. So I went and bought this. This is a AF300 by Affley, I guess. 16.8 volt, 15 amps. That sucker puts out some serious juice, and it's really not that big in comparison to the rest of this. But the cool thing is if the battery pack's charged, I can basically I don't even need this, right? Because it'll do like 15 hours of normal use on battery power. It's super impressive. But this charges that, or you can run the entire computer with just this and plug it into here. So pretty cool idea. This one, I wanted it all to be integrated. I didn't want a big old power brick, so that's why I wanted to use that little slim power supply. Time will tell how this works, but that's the basic idea. The rest of it's printing now, so you should get an update on this a little bit later. But I tried a few different power supply options. This is an Xbox power supply that I found because this is 12 volts, and it's supposed to be it was supposed to be 200 watts, but when I got it right here, as you can tell, if this will focus, I guess it's not going to want to, but it's only 12 volts at 10 amps, so 120 watts, not going to cut it for this. I mean, theoretically, the GPU shouldn't consume more than that, but the problem is when it surges, when you first boot up a game, it crashes and the power supply shuts off. So this Dell one has been working great so far, but I would love if I could find something even smaller than that, because this is the only thing that's really making this as tall as it is. This is too, I guess, this voltage converter, but if I found a good 12 volt that would give me enough power that was narrow profile like this, then I could do that. I thought about those LED driver ones, but the 300 watt ones are just way too long, so I didn't want to deal with that. But anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them below. If you'd like me to open this up and show you the inner workings of it a little bit more, I'm open for that as well. But it's the same internals as the silver one you've seen earlier in the channel. But if anybody has questions about how to build battery packs like this, I could do a little bit of a tutorial on stuff like that. But obviously that would be for another video. So let me know what you guys think, and thanks for tuning in.